Welcome to the From the Other Side live show podcast. The live show will begin in 2 minutes. Grab a snack and a drink and sit down to watch another one of our great live shows. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and share the live show video link. Enjoy the show. Sit down to watch another one of our great live shows. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and share the live show video link. Enjoy the show. The live show will begin in 1 minute. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and share the live show video link.
Please like and leave a comment, and share this video.
Hi everybody, welcome to show 103, Stem Cell Horizons, and we're streaming from Minsk, Belarus. I'm your host Dave, and tonight I'm joined by special co-host Andrew, a US citizen who now proudly calls Belarus his home. Before we dive in, quick reminder, hit the thumbs up to show your support, share this video link with friends and family, and drop your thoughts in the chat. And if you haven't already, subscribe, joining the growing community of 1,800 strong on Rumble and 2,700 on YouTube. And we're not on YouTube tonight because technical difficulties, so we're only on Rumble tonight, so there you go. And let's introduce our co-host today there you go. Hey, how you going?
I'm Andrew. Thanks for having me on. Good
Again?
Coincidence with the show and me coming.
Yeah, that's good.
Although I don't have a medical license, I'm a medical expert, and my specialty, you could say, is regenerative medicine, healing from injuries, testosterone replacement therapy, and other related stuff. I wrote a book 5 years ago, A Systematic Guide to Defeating Tendinitis. That's kind of related to stem cells because they're both ways that you can, overcome certain injury-related conditions without traditional medicine, and that traditional medicine isn't very good at.
And where can people get hold of you?
Personal website, andrewhutchings.org, or my Instagram, Andre Hutch, ANDREYHUTCH.
Okay, you looking jacked tonight?
Trying to get big for a bodybuilding competition in April. Haven't been hitting the gym hard for a while, so we'll see if I can blow back up in time.
Cool. So it's going to be probably not a very long show, but we're going to talk about stem cells. So stem cells, for those who don't know, are often called the building blocks of life. These remarkable cells have a unique ability to develop into many different cell types in the body, making them a powerful tool in medicine. From repairing damaged tissues to potentially curing chronic diseases, stem cells are at the forefront of scientific breakthroughs today. We'll explore how this cutting-edge research is shaping the future of healthcare, what it means for you and your loved ones. And I've got some questions for you.
Well, I have something to say with what you just said, because you mentioned how they can turn into different tissue types.
Yes.
And that is true when you are a developing organism. But a misconception that some people have is that if they get stem cell treatment, that they'll turn into, say, cartilage cells or skin cells or something. When you are a baby or a growing organism, doesn't matter what stage, as long as you're going through the growth process, you have a certain chemical environment that is constantly changing in a certain way. It's only that specific sequence of chemical environments that programs the cells to turn into other cells. If you inject them into a human body, you don't have that proper changing sequence of chemical environments around the cells to direct their development. So they're not going to turn into stuff.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay.
But that doesn't mean they aren't amazing, that they don't help a lot of things. They just don't do it by turning into different tissues.
So what are the most promising applications of stem cells in medicine today?
I'd say general health maintenance of the human body, just keeping the musculoskeletal system in good health, keeping the immune system in good health. It's hard to say one specific thing because they're so good at so many things. And this is the kind of thing I'm into, when you find one thing that's just like a shotgun blast at helping so many different things in the human body.
Okay. How have advancements in stem cell research impacted the treatment of chronic diseases or injuries?
So
I've seen, for example, Joe Rogan, right? He's got injuries from his fighting and all that sort of thing, and he's gone down to wherever it is, Guatemala or somewhere, and got them, Panama, and got them done, and that seems to have fixed his shoulders and things like that.
Yeah, so they allow a lot of people to avoid getting surgery, and surgery is typically not a good option. Like, how many people do you know that have actually got surgery and they're like, oh, it's so much better since I got that surgery, it's just perfect now? Surgeries don't tend to work too well.
Yeah.
So stem cells and other approaches that get your body to heal itself are really the way to go. In fact, I used this same approach for myself about 10, 11 years ago because I had no luck with doctors. I didn't use stem cells. I used small molecules at the time. Didn't have access to stem cells. Stem cells weren't an option. I mean, technically they were an option in other countries, but as a 17-year-old kid, I wasn't going to go to Mexico and get stem cells or Panama.
Okay.
Yeah, avoiding surgery, that's a big, awesome thing.
Oh, cool. What are the current challenges in scaling up stem cell therapies for widespread?
I'd say there's no challenges.
None?
No. Legislation, legal issues, but on the scientific side, there's no issue. Like, it's expensive, but there's no actual challenge.
Why is it expensive?
The materials used to grow them, especially the fetal bovine serum, it is the liquid portion of fetal cow blood. So you got a baby, now this can freak some people out, you got a baby cow in the womb, and you stick a big syringe in there, and you suck its blood out, and then you separate the liquid from the blood cells, and you have to use that liquid to grow the cells. Now there are serum-free mediums that are being advertised, and you don't have a product and advertise it as being inferior, so of course they advertise it as being superior to serum, but I don't see that as the case currently. In the future, I'm sure we will have very good serum-free mediums. Maybe there's some secret serum-free mediums that are awesome, but the commercially available ones, I wouldn't choose to use them, and they're not cheaper than using serum. But in the future, they could be cheaper.
And what's better? Let's call them baby stem cells or fat?
Baby ones.
Why?
They just have a different profile of molecules that they excrete. For example, they have more anti-inflammatory cytokines versus pro-inflammatory cytokines. If I had to rank stem cells, umbilical cord, placenta, baby stem cells at the top, then bone marrow, then fat, based on the inflammatory, anti-inflammatory profile.
What's the most widespread use of in the world? Is it the fat cells?
Which ones? I would say the umbilical cord stem cells, because in Mexico and South America, those are the ones being used, and that's where most stem cell treatments are being done.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
And also, there's a big problem with stem cell treatments in most countries. And you'll even meet people that are like, oh yeah, my uncle, he got stem cells. He paid $20,000 and they didn't work. It's like, where'd your uncle go? Oh, he went to this place in Denmark. And they took some of his fat or some of his bone marrow and they injected it back and it didn't work. It's like, Well, because in that country it's illegal to grow the cells. So they just isolated like 50,000 cells when you need 50 million, and they injected them back in, and it's like, no wonder it didn't work. You don't have nearly enough.
Okay, so that's why, like when you go to Panama and you go there and they, like an intravenous drip, and they just pump heaps into you.
Yeah,
Is
because
that
you're
right?
growing them in the lab. And, 1 goes to 2, 2 goes to 4, because they're splitting. Each one turns into 2.
Okay. So what are the ethical concerns associated with embryonic stem cell research?
Are you being specific about embryonic?
Yeah.
Well, you're using actual human babies, possibly aborted fetuses, possibly aborting it in the process. You're using a human, well, technically a fetus would be fetal stem cells. So embryonic stem cells, technically, if we want to be really precise with our wording, that would be before it's even a fetus, when it's still an embryo in the womb. But regardless, you have to have an embryo form in the, man impregnates woman, create an embryo, and kill it for the cells.
Okay.
And do you know which country does that?
Which?
Ukraine.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. One of the only countries in the world where it's completely okay.
With lots of other things.
Yeah. There's no laws there.
Yeah. What role do induced pluripotent stem cells, iPSCs, play in advancing personalized medicine?
They play a big role, and
And what are they?
So, stem cells are... How to explain what stem cells are very shortly for a big audience. That's a tricky question. In short, they are cells that don't really have an identity, and they can communicate in special ways with other cells. Your skin, the top of your skin, this is all dead, but underneath it, your skin cells, the ones that are alive, are like your tongue cells or your muscle cells. They're already differentiated. They perform a specific role. They do communicate with other cells, but they don't communicate in the way that mesenchymal stem cells do to modulate other cells. So you take a cell like a muscle cell or a skin cell or an eyeball cell, and you revert it back to being a mesenchymal stem cell so that it can do all the roles that a mesenchymal stem cell does. The problem is you're actually bringing it back to before it's a mesenchymal stem cell, where it's just a stem cell, and it's dangerous because it can form cancer. So you have to bring it really far back, then bring it forward to the point where it's a mesenchymal stem cell, and make sure you kill all the ones that are too young that can turn into cancer. So currently it's pretty risky, but I do think that it's a possible good future direction, because that gives us an unlimited source of genetically identical stem cells to ourselves.
Okay. Can you explain the progress being made in using stem cells to regenerate damaged organs or tissues?
Yeah, when you instruct the body how to heal itself, it does pretty good at it. Now, like I said, it's not because these stem cells are turning into those tissues, but because it's instructing the existing tissues how to fix themselves. So it works great. It's not going to fix everything possible, but it's going to fix a lot of stuff to a pretty good degree.
Okay. What are some of the breakthroughs in gene editing, such as CRISPR, in combination with stem cell research?
I don't know what the current breakthroughs are. I know what my plans are regarding that, but I'm not going to share them with the public.
That's fair enough. Okay. How do you see the regulatory landscape evolving to accommodate stem cell-based therapies?
It's tricky. I mean, I can't claim that I can predict legislation in the United States or Western Europe or somewhere. It's legal here. It's legal in certain South American countries. It's legal in Mexico. Now, will it become legal in the U.S.? I don't know. Pharmaceutical companies, I would say that they want to keep normal stem cells illegal, but they're probably going to have some sort of induced pluripotent stem cell type product in the future that is highly regulated, and they'll claim that this one is safe, the natural ones are dangerous, blah, blah, blah. You have to use ours. We don't know how safe just taking it from your fat is or whatever.
Okay.
So once the pharmaceutical companies develop a product from it and can sell it, I'm sure it will become widely available.
Of course. What collaborations between research institutions and biotech companies are accelerating innovations in this field?
I don't know.
What future developments in stem cell research do you find most exciting and groundbreaking?
I have some certain plans on how to use them to specifically regrow cartilage in the joints. How I'm going to do that, I'm not going to say, because I would prefer that other people don't copy me before I get it done. I find that exciting because, regrowing cartilage in joints, that's a big deal. It doesn't regrow too well. You'll have people that say, like, oh, put stem cells in your joint, the cartilage is going to regrow. I would like to see, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I would like to see actual hard data on that, like real scientific studies, not just, oh yeah, well, people are doing it and it's regrowing their cartilage. It's like, cool, well, let's actually see it. Like, let's see if that's actually happening, or is it that they just feel a lot better? Because what we do know is that they modulate inflammation. So if they tune down all the inflammation, maybe you didn't regrow the cartilage in your shoulder, but it feels like you regrow the cartilage in your shoulder. Interesting thing is, most of the private for-profit stem cell places will tell you that stem cells do this, and then the places that are government funded that are not out to make as big of a profit as possible, they tell you that stem cells do this. And then you look at the research, and the research has only shown that it does about that. It's kind of like when you do an intravenous injection of stem cells. The places like in Mexico and South America, they claim, oh yeah, they go all throughout your body, they hone to the site of inflammation, blah, 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 and then sometimes they'll even say, oh, it can turn into the type of tissue you need, which I already explained, it's not going to do that, that's for sure. And then even if it did turn into the type of tissue you need, it wouldn't stay, because if you're using some random woman's umbilical cord and it turns into a tissue type, now it has immune markers and your body's going to kill it. So that it for sure is not going to turn into something. But they can say that, it hones to the site of the injury, it modulates the cells there. There's actually no strong evidence that that's the case. The evidence points towards that they get trapped in the lungs and destroyed and excreted from the body. Now, maybe a very small percent, like 0.05%, maybe 1%, do make it throughout the body. Maybe. There's a little bit of evidence that that might be the case, and maybe that 1% is enough. But it seems like that they interact with other cells while they're in your lungs for a day or two. Maybe they interact with your macrophages or some other type of immune cells flowing through there, and then those cells go throughout the body and modulate other stuff. Or maybe it's the exosomes they excrete while they're in your lungs, and those travel all throughout your body. Now, the bottom line is stem cells work, but we don't know exactly how they work, and we don't know exactly which things, like with the joints, we don't really know what they're doing with the joints. Like, we do know that they modulate inflammation, but we don't know how much you're actually going to regrow cartilage, for example. That's what I would like to see more, is real scientific research on stem cells, not this pseudo sort of scientific research by these companies in Mexico or wherever that are trying to market their own products.
What common medical conditions are currently being treated with these therapies, stem cell therapies?
Partial tendon tears, partial musculoskeletal system injuries, to be general, nerve damage, just anti-aging in general, like for skin, autoimmune conditions, because they modulate your immune cells.
So if you had MS, would that help?
It should.
Yeah.
I mean, is it going to make you perfect? I don't know, but it's going to help.
Okay.
They basically help everything. The question is, how much do they help your particular problem? The only one is cancer. That's a tricky one, because maybe they are really good for cancer, but we don't have the evidence to show that, and there is a reason to believe that they might cause cancer to grow more, considering that they excrete a lot of growth factors. It's kind of like you wouldn't inject someone with human growth hormone and insulin if they had cancer and expect the cancer to get better. Now, stem cells are not human growth hormone and insulin. They are complex living cells that have complex activity, but there is still a reason to believe that they could make cancer grow faster. Is that the case? We don't know. Needs more research.
How do they help with chronic pain management or
help a lot,
or arthritis?
You're going to reduce the inflammation a lot.
Yeah.
So even if you don't make the actual condition better, it's going to have a lot less inflammation and a lot less pain.
What about regenerative medicine for injuries like burns or spinal cord damage?
Spinal cord damage, it shows promise. Burns, it shows promise. It's all depends on the particular case.
How safe are they? How safe are stem cells treatments for the average patient?
Extremely safe. I mean, the danger is more
there's
in
no
how they are
so there's
prepared.
There's no potential risk.
There is. Now, if you prepare them perfectly, there's essentially zero risk. Now, nothing's ever zero, but it's as close to zero as you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're preparing them in a lab and you're not perfectly sterile and you let some bacteria grow in them or something, then it's dangerous. If you take it from women who you did not test for certain diseases and it turns out that the woman had a certain disease, now you give these cells to somebody. If you do not properly do some stuff to them so they don't clump up and cause a blood clot, well, not a blood clot, but a cell clot that blocks blood flow. So it's all about how they're prepared. But if they're prepared right, they are extremely, extremely safe.
So you're saying your immune system attacks these cells?
No, it doesn't. But if they tried to turn into
Something.
other cells, like turn into skin cells, turn into eye cells,
then it does.
Unless it were from your own body. But regardless, it's not going to turn into these things. But if it did, and it were from your own, if it was your own stem cells, then it could stay. But you use foreign cells and it turns in. Maybe if you took a bunch of corticosteroids for the rest of your life and suppressed your immune system.
Yeah, like having a heart transplant or something like that. Okay. Are there any specific lifestyle changes or habits that can enhance the effectiveness of these stem cell therapies?
Yes. Something in general is your body cannot work properly. It cannot fix things if you're missing even one part. Say you need 10 different building materials. If you're missing even one, you can't build the final product. It doesn't matter that you have the other 9.
Mm-hmm.
If something needs all 10 and you only have 9, it doesn't get built. It's kind of like all the vitamins and minerals in the body. You may have plenty of 99% of them, but if you're missing just one, the whole process doesn't work. So you got to make sure you have all your proper vitamins, you have all your minerals, everything at good, healthy levels. You know, enough amino acids, enough fats, enough cholesterol, just everything your body needs. Because if you're missing just one component, things don't work right.
Okay. So what advancements in stem cell research could soon make a significant impact on everyday healthcare?
I mean, stem cells are nothing new, so I don't really think we're looking at new advancements with stem cells coming. I mean, sure, there's going to be new information on them, but, I mean, they've been around a long time. It's more of whether or not they will be widely used, and then the change is just going to be that more people get them. But we already see what they do. They help a lot of things to a really high degree. They're amazing. They work great. Just availability.
Could you grow, just say you needed a heart, could you grow one outside the body with the cells and all that, and then put it back in? Because then you wouldn't need the...
You could, theoretically.
Or 3D printed or something?
You could, theoretically. Has it been done? I'm sure it's been done somewhere. Has it been done and publicly documented? I don't believe so. Could I do that right now? No. Could I do that in the future? Potentially.
Okay, because then you wouldn't have to take those drugs and all sorts of things if it was your own.
Well, yeah, you would, because unless they were your own stem cells.
No, that's what I'm saying. If it was your own stem cells and they made a heart, for example, and then put it in, it'd be... So that would be the future, wouldn't it? They'd just replace organs that you just go in there and they'd take stuff out of you and make a new...
Maybe with special 3D cell printers, we might make some good progress on this. But I know in the past, I knew a scientist that was working on something like this, and they didn't have success. But, that was in the past.
Okay, you mentioned this before. Can stem cells be used to delay aging or improve overall cellular health?
Yep. It's not necessarily anti-aging, but you're just maintaining the body better. So it's anti-aging in a sense, although it's not technically anti-aging. I'm going to develop something, hopefully within the next few years, that will actually reverse age rather than just maintain youthfulness.
But in America, there's 2 companies. One the Google guys are putting in, and a few others are putting in. They're trying to find all those.
Yeah, I think Jeff Bezos too.
Yeah, another one. Yeah, they're trying to find all those secrets.
So stem cells, like, if you got shoulder issues and your shoulder feels a lot better, in a sense, that's anti-aging because your shoulder feels like it was when it was younger. Maybe you can use it more like it was when you were younger. So it is anti-aging in a sense, but
I was thinking about turning the clock back.
the future holds a lot more stuff than stem cells. Stem cells are like the Stone Age compared to what we're going to see in the next 20 years.
So what are we going to see in the next 20 years?
I don't know. I know what I'm working on,
Okay.
but I'm one person. I can only imagine what big organizations of people can do.
Spending billions of dollars.
Yeah.
What should people know about stem cell banking, and how can it be useful for future medical needs?
Well, you have to be an idiot not to bank your child's umbilical cord, because if your child ever has a health issue in the future, like, why wouldn't you want to have their own stem cells to use for the treatment? And then even if you have a health issue, maybe you want to use, you could use anybody's, but stem cells are valuable things. You should bank your stem cells. Now, should you bank them from your own body? Maybe, but it's better than nothing. But yes, certainly when my children are born, I'm going to save their umbilical cords.
Was that with freezing?
Yeah.
From someone,
isolate the cells from them, freeze the cells.
yeah. From someone suffering a chronic condition, how can they determine if stem cell therapy is a viable option?
Well, we could make a big long list of conditions that it helps, but how do you know with your particular condition? You have to look into it.
And then you'd have to find somewhere where they live.
Yeah, chances are it helps your condition. Like I said, cancer is the one that it's kind of like, I don't know, might be good, might be bad, but pretty much everything else it's good for. It's just a magic cure, so to speak.
Speaking of cancer, I've been obviously sending you stuff as well on ivermectin and fenbendazole?
Fenbendazole.
Yeah, and Mel Gibson was on.
Yeah, I saw that.
And he said 3 or 4 of his friends
I don't know
had
how many, but
had cancer, like late stage, and they took that and it was gone as well. And the more I'm reading as well, it seems to help a lot with that.
yeah, I've looked mostly into ivermectin. There's a lot of evidence for how it works. I haven't looked into fenbendazole so much, but there's things that work great out there that just aren't commonly used. It's like the way I got into like regenerative medicine, or I don't know the best word for it, like, healing injuries with your own body rather than traditional medicine, is I got a bunch of injuries when I was 16 and a half years old, and I got more when I was 17 and a half, 19. I got a lot of injuries when I was younger. But when I was 16 and a half, I went to a bunch of doctors for 6 months. Actually, for about a whole year, I went to doctors, and eventually they made my condition, 6 months in, one made it a lot worse. 6 months after that, one made it a lot worse. And I'm like, shit, I cannot rely on these people to fix my problem. And I was thinking and thinking and thinking, and I'm like, the human body has amazing abilities. My body has the ability to heal this. I just need to somehow turn it on. And that's how I got started with all this stuff. And I did turn it on. And at one point, this arm was like bluish purple, cold. And at one point, I could like move my fingers a little bit. Couldn't move the arm. And can press. I haven't been working out too seriously lately. But if I was working out seriously, I could probably shoulder press a 100-pound dumbbell.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, couldn't use, this arm was like dying at one point in time.
Oh, really? Well, circulation.
It seems that one doctor who tried to do me a favor by giving me a free corticosteroid injection that I really didn't want, but he said that it was the first step we had to do for me to try other stuff I did want to do. He hit a nerve because he put the needle in, and I still remember, I just felt the pain skyrocket. Oh, no. So the pain went up, and I felt like a sensation go down my arm. And I'm like, I think you hit a nerve. And he said, no, I didn't. Don't worry, there's no nerves here. And he injected it. And when he injected it is when the pain just skyrocketed. And then my arm, I don't remember over what amount of time, it turned bluish purple and went cold. But luckily I had got certain medications that I needed for the previous injuries that I was going to him for that happened to be really good for the nerve damage. So I started taking them immediately after that and got better.
It's lucky you didn't have to chop your arm off.
Yeah, and my mother at the time was very against me taking these medications that I obtained myself and that doctors didn't prescribe. But she saw that when I took them, my arm was normal color, was warm. She couldn't argue with that. She's like, you need to keep taking those. And then the tricky thing is I went to more doctors to try to get help, but I wasn't going to stop doing my own treatment just to show them how bad my arm was. So I'd go in and they'd be like, oh, it looks normal. It's like, yeah, it looks normal because I'm making it look normal.
Okay. Anything else you want to say about stem cells?
Stem cells, awesome. I'm all into making your body fix itself. Stem cells instruct your body how to fix itself. There's a reason I'm going to be growing stem cells in my lab within a few months probably, because I believe in them. Now, I have not used them myself. I'm going to use them myself as soon as I grow them. I don't trust other people. Like I said, all the dangers associated with stem cells come from how they are prepared. I'm not trying to talk down on people, but I went to university for chemistry and biology. Technically, my original degree was chemistry. My last year, I switched it to biochemistry, molecular biology. I liked the title more, and I didn't want to take the last chemistry class, and I already took all the biology classes. So I was in classes with chemistry students and biology students, even in their last year of their bachelor's degree. I'd say at least 70% of them couldn't do anything right. Most of them just screwed up everything. You give them 4 to 5 hours of lab time, and they can't do it right. I would, not trying to brag, I would be in, some things you have to wait like an hour between each step, so you can't possibly do it faster. But things that didn't have that kind of stuff, say like 40 minutes it would take me to do a 4 to 5 hour long lab, and I did it right. They're spending 4 to 5 hours to do it wrong. Now these people, it's the same when you go to higher up education. Now, of course, the percentage of them that are incompetent is going to be lower in like a PhD program or a medical program. But yeah, most people in any level of education and specialty are not very competent. So no, I do not trust other people to prepare my stem cells. Belarus, if I had to choose somewhere, I would choose Belarus. Not that I think everything is perfect, but I think they do things pretty good. But still, it's like, I trust myself. I know I do things right, so I'm going to wait till I can just do it myself and take my own that I prepare.
Could anybody come here and get it done?
Yeah, you can currently come here, get it done, and hopefully in about a year and 6 months, you'll be able to come to me and get the very best ones in the whole world. Maybe there's a secret lab somewhere where you can get better ones, but that you can't possibly find and get. Technically they are available, but not for you. My place will have the best publicly available stem cells in the whole world.
And you'll be setting up shop here?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And it'll be only the beginning.
You heard that. Cool. Okay. Thanks for that. Anything else at all?
If you have tendinitis, I would recommend you get this book.
Where can they buy that?
I don't know. Type in on Google. Publisher seemed to have discontinued it. Publisher is not very easy to communicate with. It didn't sell very many copies because I started it off at $200 and I'm not famous. I started it at $200 because I'm a logical person. I'm like, people go to so many doctor's appointments and don't get their problem fixed. How much are you paying per doctor's appointment? And then you're paying for gas and it's time. You're spending all this time and money to go to all these doctors and it's not getting fixed. So if you can get this book and get your problem fixed, how much is it worth? And I'm like, yeah, at least $200. I'll price it at $200. But then people, $200. I was like, why would I? Well, it's because you still haven't fixed your problem. Or so you could pay $200 to get your problem fixed, or you can just continue to, spend even more money potentially going to your doctors and not fixing it. It's very small because I don't believe in fluff and nonsense. It has everything you need to know to get rid of tendinitis and nothing more.
You could self-publish, couldn't you, on Amazon?
Yeah, I self-published on Ingram Spark. I need to make a second version. I wrote this one in around September 2020, published it around September 2021. So I have learned a lot in the last 5 years. It would be only some small changes, but still I'd rather have an up-to-date one, but maybe I should, republish on Amazon. So yeah, if you have tendonitis, get this book. You will need to obtain certain medications after getting this book, but this book will tell you which medications, how much of them, and it's not all about medications. It's a multidisciplinary approach. Medications, lifestyle, nutrition. And it sounds crazy, but so far it has a 100% success rate.
Can you get the medications? Do you have to go to a doctor to get them? Or
You don't have to. It all depends on what kind of person you are. Are you a person that's like, oh, I have to get doctor's permission to change my own body?
No, I mean, like some drugs you have to get a prescription for. I mean, can you
Well,
just go?
if you need a prescription for medications, doesn't mean you need a prescription. It just means you legally need a prescription.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Some of them
Yeah.
you have to go and get them.
I mean, you can always go to a different country. You could always utilize the internet. I'm not promoting doing anything illegal, but, it's like, who should have authority over telling us what we can put in our own bodies? That's ridiculous. So you can get them from doctors. Now, the problem I faced 10 years ago is no doctors would give me the medications, because the same medications are similar ones that I used for my bigger problems. That's how I learned about these techniques that I later applied to tendonitis. Nowadays, it's a lot easier to get these medications, although you still would have a hard time. 10 years ago, even in the United States, where it's the easiest now, no, you couldn't even get PRP 10 years ago. I remember I was begging for PRP. Not that it's amazing, but it's something.
What's PRP?
Platelet-rich plasma. It's the platelets from your blood, concentrated, injected back in. It's funny, I saw a girl I went to school with advertising her treatment with them for $600 now. It's like, you're literally just pulling out blood, putting it in a centrifuge.
Can they do that for facials?
Yeah, that's what she's doing.
Oh, yeah, vampire
But it's like
facials are called.
$600?
Yeah.
It takes like 30 minutes total, costs a small amount of money, and you're charging I could see if it were stem cells you couldn't do for $600 because it costs too much to grow them. But $600 just to use your own platelets, that's insane. But 10 years ago, I couldn't even convince any doctor to do PRP for me. I should have just done it myself, but I was really sick, not thinking straight. When you're young and you're sick and you're injured and your life is upside down, sometimes you don't make the right decisions. Luckily, I made the right decisions, but not with the PRP.
Okay. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in. That's it.
No world updates or anything?
What, do you want to talk about world updates?
I don't know, up to you.
I'm easy. We can do that. I just I've been away for a few days, so I've got to catch up. But from what I understand, the same things are still going on in Ukraine and Israel and all those sort of things.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything?
I just hear that they're burning down Los Angeles to rebuild it into a
that
smart
too.
city.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, everybody's been saying that.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah. They've traced it back to a transformer that went on fire, right?
Yeah, I hear that there's some of these like power-saving devices
Oh,
that
those
use
things,
like,
yeah.
really high energy levels, and the houses that had them all burnt down, and the houses that didn't. I don't know if it's true. You know what's funny though is people that don't know science. Like, have you seen the videos of like the laser beams coming down?
Oh, yeah.
What's funny is you'll see these videos where it's like an orange laser beam, and they're like, "See, all the blue stuff didn't burn," and it's like, you know why that's nonsense?
Why?
Because orange is not reflected by blue. Blue reflects blue light. So it's like if it was an orange laser beam, blue stuff is gonna burn. Orange stuff wouldn't burn, but
Some of the houses in LA that didn't burn because they had private firefighters.
Oh yeah, well, good thing LA sent so much fire equipment to Ukraine a couple years ago. That
Yeah, that's
probably
true.
helped a lot.
I heard if they put sprinklers and all that on the roof and then use the swimming pool as the fire got closer, that would help.
Use the swimming pool have some sort of pump that.
Yeah, pump like a gas turbine pump, not a petrol pump or something like that. And then as it get close, then you've got huge hoses which you can fire it. Plus you can turn on them on your roof and then flood the place. And use the swimming pool as a tank.
California is really easy to light on fire. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's like back to the lasers. I think it's funny when people are like, "Oh yeah, they used lasers." It's like you pay 5 guys $100 each to go use a big lighter.
Yeah, well they've already caught a few people doing that.
It's not hard to make California burn down.
Yeah, I saw a photo of San Francisco in 18 something. It was just burnt down to the ground as well.
Oh yeah, some of my ancestors went missing. I can't remember if there was first floods and then earthquake, and then fire. But yeah, it just destroyed San Francisco.
Yeah. So yeah, and then of course Biden only just gave them $770 each.
Yeah, it's kind of like Hawaii. What did they get? Like 300, 600?
Yeah, something like that.
Because you can rebuild your whole life with that $700.
And I think it just sent Ukraine $500 million for their pension fund and a few other things.
Supposedly 8 Ukrainian generals' mansions in LA burned down. I don't know if it's true. But
yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that's possible.
yeah, I think the young guys are really getting worried in Ukraine because they're mostly taking people that are 25 and older, but now they're talking about going down to 18.
Yeah, they've. I think it's today they said that if you're 17 and above, you have to not sign up, but you have to tell them.
Did I mention about the cripple on the last show?
No.
A friend of mine that lives in Bucha, that's where supposedly there was a big massacre. I say supposedly not because I'm denying that it happened, but because I didn't see it. Even my friend in Bucha didn't see it. So it's like, did it happen? I don't know. But he knows a guy that's a cripple who uses a walker, and the army grabbed him.
For what?
I don't know exactly to the front lines or what position, but they took him into the army. They grabbed him and...
There you go. But yeah,
I guess he can cook food.
Yeah. Well, I think Blinken said they need to take 18-year-olds, then they can get another 100,000 people or something like that.
It's very sad, and you got these crazy people in the U.S. What I hate are these YouTubers that try to convince people to support this. You're just convincing to do genocide of people. Genocide of the Slavic people.
I was just in Vilnius, and just everywhere's Ukrainian flags still.
They have the gay flags along with them.
I've seen a couple, but mainly Ukrainian flags just everywhere.
I was talking to some people in Vilnius, and it's funny, this guy, he's like, oh yeah, I was going to fight, but then I decided I'm better use if I teach math back here. I'm looking at him like, dude, you're not going to fight anywhere. He's like really skinny and pathetic, and it's like, dude, you're going to teach math, and you're going to, I won't say it on your show to be derogatory, what else I think he might do, but... And he's like, I don't think we have enough Ukrainian flags. I'm like, you got more Ukrainian flags than He's like, I don't think we should have Lithuanian flags. We should have only Ukraine. Like, this is your country. How come you want... Just crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's mainly Lithuanian, EU, and Ukrainian flags everywhere.
Yeah, it's like Poland. You go there, you got the gay flag, the gay Belarus flag, and the Ukrainian flag. To be clear, the gay Belarus flag is the white, red, white.
Which was used by the collaborators in World War II. There you go.
Yeah, I just call it the gay Belarus flag.
Yeah, I also saw lots of German military there as well.
Yeah, every time
they're back in Vilnius.
Every time I've been in Vilnius, people ask me if I'm with the U.S. Army. And I know that there is U.S. Army there.
Yeah, I've seen them sometimes in the hotels.
Yeah, there's U.S. Army in Poland, in Vilnius, in Lithuania, all along the border of Belarus.
Yeah. There's something like 30,000, isn't there?
I don't know how many.
So, I don't know. But the AFD said if they get in, they're going to use Nord Stream gas again and also get out of NATO. Which will be interesting. NATO will be finished then.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what Trump does.
We'll see what happens with Greenland also.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, it's already a U.S. military base, so I don't know what the importance is of making it a state or something.
Yeah, I read today they built, during the 70s and 80s, they built a base under the ice with ballistic missiles underneath there.
Makes sense.
But because the ice caps kept moving, kept destroying everything, so they gave up. There was a nuclear reactor running the base. So got a lot of minerals there. Greenland, gold.
Hey, better to go after Greenland than Ukraine.
Yeah, that would put America right on the border with Russia then.
Yeah.
Because they've only got, in the Arctic, they've only got, Alaska? That section of the Arctic? So they want more.
That'd be a very strategic position.
Yeah.
You ever looked out the plane window when you're flying over Greenland? it's really cool looking. It's just like endless white. You see like some mountains, but it's just endless white, which sounds like, oh, well, you fly over a lot of places with snow and it's white. It's like, no, I've flown over places with snow. This is different. It's just endless. And 30 minutes later, it's still endless, and it's just gigantic and pure white. It just looks cool.
Used to have less ice when the Vikings found it.
Interesting. I would think there'd be more because we're warming up from back then.
No, there was less ice then. That's why they called it. There was a lot more.
I thought they just switched the names with Iceland and Greenland.
No, from what I understand, there was less ice there.
Because even like
and then it got colder and colder, and that's what.
Because even like Norway was too cold to inhabit most of it in the past. So I don't know.
Oh well, it's the sun that's doing it, changing the climate.
Yeah, I mean the climate changes.
Yeah. Well, it was. They just found that was that forest in America in the mountains 6,000 years old because the ice has just gone. Petrified forest.
I don't know.
So there was a forest up there 6,000 years ago. So it was warmer then.
I mean, we've had ice ages, we've had hot periods. But as far as I know, like hundreds of years ago, it was colder.
Well, had that mini ice age when was that, 300 years ago?
Yeah, maybe that was it.
It's when the Thames froze over. So, there you go.
I mean, Belarus even, you see the climate changing. It's like 40 years ago, there was a ton of snow every winter. It was minus 20 all the time. Now it's like we barely get any. It gets down to minus 20 a couple days out of the year.
Yeah, this winter's been a lot less snow.
But then in California, it's like the mountains near where I grew up. They used to get like that much snow. Now they get like that much snow. It's annoying when the snow gets too high because it's like you can't lift your leg up that high to walk through it. You gotta wear snowshoes.
Yeah. Well, it's going to get colder because the sun's changing. The orbit.
I wouldn't mind if it got a little colder than it is right now. Especially this summer, it's been pretty hot.
Yeah. And Middle East still a mess?
That's what it seems like. I'm going to be in Dubai soon. Hopefully it stays safe.
When are you going? Holiday?
The 27th.
Holiday?
Yeah.
Holiday? How long are you going for?
Dubai, just a couple days. Going to Thailand mostly.
Oh. That's cool. I'm thinking of going to Peru in April.
Seems like a cool place.
April, May.
What?
April or May going to Peru.
Yeah, I know 2 people that had been there and they thought it was amazing.
Yeah, I was in there in 2004 last time.
Did you climb up the thing?
I went to Machu Picchu. But this time we're going to go a few other places I haven't been to.
Gonna have coca tea?
Local tea?
Coca tea?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Local tea, yeah. It's good for hiking.
Yeah.
That's what the locals use it for. Cool. Okay. Well, that's an hour.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for that. And again, where can people get hold of you?
AndrewHutchings.org. I hope I didn't say .com in the beginning. AndrewHutchings.org or Andre Hutch Instagram, AndreyHutch.
No YouTube channel?
And AndroClone1 YouTube channel. It's very informal. Some people criticize it for that, like I'm often not wearing my shirt. Some people are like, why don't you have a shirt on? It's like, because I didn't feel like putting a shirt on. It's warm in my... If it's cold in my apartment, I put a shirt on. If it's hot, it's like, it's a fitness health channel. It's not me trying to be Mr. Professional and everything.
You just chat about fitness.
And health.
Actually, I was going to ask you, for the viewers out there, what supplements and vitamins do you think people should take, just generally? They can't take everything because it's really expensive.
But multivitamin is just a general safety net. Make sure your multivitamin has methylcobalamin or hydroxycobalamin form of vitamin B12. That's the main differentiating factor between different multivitamins. The reason you want to choose these is the cyanocobalamin, besides not really being absorbed, is also slightly toxic. It releases cyanide into your body. And, you could, argue like, oh, it's a little bit of cyanide. It's safe. It's
But
like,
doesn't it build up?
I don't know how much it builds up, but it's like, do I really want to be putting cyanide into my body every single day? No, I don't. So I'm going to pick a multivitamin that doesn't have that. Plus, the B12 doesn't work, and that's one of the most important parts of the multivitamin. So multivitamin, vitamin C. Vitamin C is a great antioxidant, and it's really cheap. It's also a chelating agent. It can chelate out heavy metals from you and other things. Super cheap, so you can just eat that stuff like crazy. Creatine, great for your muscles, great for your brain, also really cheap. There's a lot of vitamins and supplements, but magnesium, that's another good one.
Zinc?
Zinc, it's like, yeah, but I don't know how important it truly is. I know it's got a lot of hype, but I'm not so sure about zinc. If you're sick, maybe. But in general, there's also another issue with zinc, is that zinc and copper compete with each other for absorption. So if you take a bunch of zinc all the time, you might end up deficient in copper.
Okay. It's interesting. Yeah, I'm getting, as we discussed before, I'm getting my full blood work on Monday.
That's good.
And then I'm going to start taking that ivermectin, see what that does.
Be a nice
the experiment. So that'll be cool. So that'll be good. Okay then, thank you.
Thanks.
And everybody, thanks for that, coming in. Short show. We'll be back on Sunday, and with a normal show, just talking about world events. But I wanted to talk about stem cell. Did you read the book?
Part of it.
Is it interesting?
Yeah.
Or was it out of date?
No, it's interesting, and I had a little secret that most people don't know, but I was like, it mentions my little secret in the book, so people that read the book can learn this one thing that I try to keep a little bit of a secret.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, guy did have good idea with that thing. I didn't know that someone else had the same idea with something as me.
I can't remember.
I typically look to see if people had the same idea as me, but I hadn't read this book before, so I didn't know this person did.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, please, thanks, share, hit the thumbs up, and we'll see you next week, I assume. Okay, thank you. And go and see his site, subscribe to his
Just
Instagram.
felt like doing that.
Yeah. When's your bodybuilding? In April.
Beginning of April. I don't know if I'll be lean enough by then. I'm always big enough, but I don't know if I'll be lean enough.
Oh, cool.
Now an official master of sport for weightlifting as of a month ago.
Is that because of your age?
Because of what?
Master. Why?
Master of sports, just if you lift enough weight.
Oh, is that
I did it for curls. It's not that it's the most amount of weight, but I needed to do 72.5 kilograms for a curl. So I'm like, put 72.5 on there. I actually did something like 80.5 on accident as the warm-up, because their bars they use are different than the ones I was practicing with at the gym. I was practicing with a 10 kilo bar, and I wasn't paying enough attention, and it turns out they had an 18 kilo or 19 kilo bar. So I thought I loaded up like 72, but I actually loaded up 80. So I tired myself out a bit before the actual lift, but still lifted enough.
Cool. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Bye.